Hello and welcome to my podcast session, everyone. Hope you're all doing good. It is past midnight. It is, I think, past 1 o'clock in the morning, and I am still awake, and I am here with you all on my first podcast. If you are all watching this podcast, don't forget to push the subscribe button to stay tuned for more podcasts and car reviews that are on the run here with AutoChamp Wandelen. Me, everyone. Now, today I'm going to talk to you all about some Yellow Hanomag I saw as a child. Now, this is no ordinary Yellow Hanomag. This is something very, very unique. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the Hanomag minibuses or vans, the size and dimension can be perceived as similar to a Volkswagen Transporter, but then differences emerge. The engine of these vehicles were at the front, whereas with the Volkswagen Transporter, engines straight at the back. Let me show you some photos so you get a better idea of what I'm talking about. Here we are, everyone. I've got some photos. I've got some photos to show you all. Right, see this? This is how the Hanomag looked. And, well, this is the rear of it. Just concentrate on this part of the photo, if you will. And then this is the front of it. Now, this is a rare Yellow Hanomag. Apparently, it's got a lot of history to it. It's something that I'm going to start by talking about my history with this particular Yellow Hanomag. Oh my goodness. It's past midnight, so I must be tired. But you know what? A little bedtime story could be always interesting. And this is the point of this wonderful podcast. And it's wonderful being with you all. So, long time ago, year 2004, I was at this braderie. And I saw this Yellow Hanomag. So, as a child, I had many different thoughts about it. It gave me a lot of feelings. But then, I never thought much of it. As a child, I completely forgot about it. I remember, I noticed that in the early 2010s, it stopped coming to the braderie of Excel. At least that's what I thought. Then, recently, I got really obsessed with it. I became obsessed with it to a point where I started researching a lot about it. I discovered along the years that it was a Hanomag. And I noticed that there are many German forums talking about this. They call it the Messe Blitz. So Messe Blitz is supposed to be German buses that are quite long. And I don't know if they were used in public transport, but I know very well they were used in expos, German expos. And they were quite popular at the north of Germany. So in cities like Bremen, Hamburg, and then if I'm not mistaken, also Hanover. I'm not exactly sure, but I know this was mostly a North German thing. And then this is the point. Like these vehicles are quite rare, and it kind of had me thinking that cars of today are quite boring. Cars of today don't have as much color as the Yellow Hanomag did. What I used to call the yellow bus. You see, these are the thoughts I've been having. And this is the thing that always, I think resonate is the right word. Not exactly sure. But these are the thoughts I've always been having of that Yellow Hanomag. And only recently, I actually started tracking down its owner. I actually got down to tracking down the owner, but only to discover that the vehicle was no longer with them. And I say with them because the actual owner himself, he passed away, but his grandchildren, they still own the warehouse which actually housed that Hanomag. Now they sold it, and that was like 10 years ago, or no, more than 10 years ago. Actually, the whole event happened in 2010, and the last time I actually saw the Hanomag was year 2004 at September. I remember that day. It was a rainy day, actually. You know, it's actually very funny because I remember every moment with that Hanomag like it was yesterday. It's hilarious. And through all those years, I'm just gonna pick up the photo. I left it down there. Through all the years being with the Hanomag, or at least seeing the Hanomag, I always remembered the seahorse statue. There are a number of animal statues you can see on this. See this? There are a number of animal statues. It was supposed to be like a mobile merry-go-round or something. Except the animals, I don't think the animals tilted, but you know, kids would sit on them and stuff. The only animal I always remembered would be the seahorse. For the rest, I do not remember much else. I remember there was a giraffe on it. Yes, there is a giraffe. And the other animals I do not remember, but now I see on the photos all the animals. There's even Donald the Duck statue on it. And there's a history behind this actually, and I'll get down to the history later. But it's very... So what I was trying to say is that it's... At this point, like when I was with the grandchildren of the owner of this Yellow Hanomag, we spoke in great details about this. I even read a lot of documentations about this Yellow Petit Train. It was apparently, it had some Disney theme to it, but that was like ages ago. So that's why you notice the only Disney remnant of it would be the Donald the Duck statue. And if you look at this photo, I'm not sure what year this photo was taken, but this is an early version where you see some Mickey Mouse designs on the side. And there's also Goofy. I think Goofy is there. Oh, look. Oh, look, there's Goofy. That's nice. That's rather cute. Yeah, those are... now, the Yellow Hanomag I saw was this one here. This one. And I was also really surprised to learn that the owner actually had 5 of these. 5 of these. And this was a very big revelation because for me, I was under the belief it was only 1. In fact, for a very long time, everybody was thinking it was just a man doing his hobby. He was doing it for a hobby. Nobody told me it was a career of his. And to be honest, I bought the story. I thought this was some guy doing it as a part-time thing or so. But then I actually realized he had a career for many decades. Everybody in the Petit Train community knows him. Now, when I say Petit Train is a French term for tourist train. So tourist train could be various things, okay? So sometimes it's a tractor unit decorated that's pulling multiple trailers where passengers sit on and enjoy the touristic views. Or sometimes it can be a bus. So what it is that it's a minivan or a mini truck or something with the passengers sitting on the back and enjoying the view outside. So there are many versions of what people can call a tourist train. Now, the particular one I saw was this one. Now, if you look carefully at the designs on the side, there is no Disney references, but there is the Euro symbols. You see this? This is the one I saw. It's very interesting. There's a lot of things to consider at this point. So I started trying to find out the traces of this Yellow Hanomag. What's become of it? Where is it? At this point, it remains a little bit of a mystery, everybody. Nobody knows where it is. I don't know where it is. I tracked it down to the last owner who lived near Arlon. Now, Arlon is a little city, I'd say, or town. I don't even know what to call it. I just say city. It's a city at the very southeast corner of Belgium. So it's right at the Luxembourg border and also not very far from France. So it's basically that area of France which we call the Le Grand Est. So that's where you have the Alsace, Lorraine. Quite a nice area actually. It's very scenic. I like it, but it's a very quiet area. I tell you, the restaurants at the Luxembourg province of Belgium are very... there was barely anything to eat there. I Google mapped that place at least thousands of times. They don't even have anything interesting for restaurants, but it's definitely a nice place if you want to enjoy the nature. And I'm saying this because, believe it or not, I went there at least 20 times trying to find out answers about this Yellow Hanomag. That's right. I've been racing around trying to find out some answers. I've spoken with various locals. I hate to say 100%, but 99.9% of the people I spoke with had no answers about this Yellow Petit Train. Nobody knows what has become of it. Nobody knows. Yeah. Now, I don't know where it is at this point. Nobody knows where it is. So, viewers of this podcast session, if you know something about this Petit Train, please leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know, because I'm very curious. Let us all know, all right? Let us all know if you've seen something like this, okay? Yeah. Now, this brings me down to a very big question, guys. Very big thought, actually. People hate EV cars. You see, people hate EV cars, and there's a reason behind this. It's because probably how big of a change it is. It's like a lot of people are not used to the idea of having a big touch screen to control the entire car. And this has become a problem with certain car manufacturers where they expect you to depend on a screen to control the entire car. And the big picture I'm noticing is that cars of today are becoming extremely dull sometimes, okay? It's just, this is why I'm thinking of the Yellow Hanomag, because the Yellow Hanomag is kind of like a symbol. It's kind of like a reminder as to why it's important we see colors on the road, why we need to see something bright, why there needs to be some form of life when we drive down the road. Because at the moment, I step off the house and first thing I'm greeted with is the gray paintwork, white paintwork, beige paintwork, black paintwork, and on rare occasions I'd see red. And if it's a pricey vehicle, I'd see something more colorful. But that's, you know, for obvious reasons, quite rare. Quite rare. So when it comes to the Yellow Hanomag, it's a very interesting story. As of now, I'm still trying to find it. And just now I brought up the topic of electric cars is because a few weeks ago, I made a little podcast, a little video, rather, as to why people hate electric cars and why I actually have a different view of electric cars. I actually think electric cars have a lot of promise, but that's if it's executed in the right way. Electric cars have potentials. Electric cars can actually rock and roll if approached in the appropriate way. I think the biggest mistake some car manufacturers have done is they will recycle platforms just to satisfy the market. So they'll have one car that's actually originally a combustion engine, and all they have to do is just get rid of the combustion engine and put an electric motor, and then boom, happy? Are you satisfied? I built an electric car. No, come on, that's not what we need. We need some love and passion. We need you to take in the effort to building a nice electric car, but likewise, that's going to be an expensive initiative. To develop a whole new platform, to develop a whole new model, likewise, it is a budget that's quite big. You know, it's a very big initiative. So this is why many car manufacturers resort to cost cutting. It's smart, but at the same time, long terms, brand image, boom, not very interesting, guys. Although there's some exceptions. It's quite impressive what BMW did with the 5 Series, okay? They have a combustion version and they have an electric version, both of them sharing the same shell. This is so cool. BMW, exceptionally, these guys nailed it. Everybody else kind of lost their charm in order to impress, or rather to answer the electric car question, everyone. It feels like some car manufacturers are actually going into this la la land where they think, oh, we have to be all techie, or oh, we have to be all like, I don't know, what we see in Hollywood movies where there's touchscreens everywhere in a car and there's Tron or something. I don't know, Tron lights, right? Tron lights. So I just don't really understand. Like, I think this is why I think this is just one of the reasons why electric cars, or at least some electric cars, are hated. I think also the other aspects about electric cars would be the maintenance aspect of things, and how people, it's a bit of a culture shock. Some people just, for many people, electric cars right now at the moment, majority are expensive, okay? So there are a few cheap ones like from the BYD, you have the BYD Dolphin Surf. I reviewed the BYD Dolphin Surf recently, guys, and I have to say it's a very promising little car, but the design, Jesus, the design, it looks like the Daewoo Matiz, or should I say Chevrolet Matiz, but Chevrolet had a different name for it. I'm not sure. I think, I don't remember the name, but I know Chevrolet had a different name for it. But for Daewoo, it was the Matiz. It was not exactly the kind of car you would dream of driving, okay? I mean, if you want a budget car, you could have just as well gotten the Citroen C1 or C3. I'm not exactly sure which model, but a Citroen would have been prettier, okay? Or you could have just also chosen a Fiat. Yeah, why not? But the thing is, reliability has always been a big concern. The Japanese car manufacturers make the most reliable cars, but yet their cars are somewhat just a tiny bit more expensive than the European competitors, at least here in Europe, everybody. Now, when it comes to the electric cars, we also have the Microlino, but the Microlino, whilst it is one of the most beautiful cars, beautiful electric cars, that seems to take on from the Isetta, the biggest problem would be the fact that it's small. There's only space for 2 passengers and that's it. There's no storage space basically. So it's not exactly a practical vehicle to be living with, but if you're just one person driving A to B, I don't see exactly why not, but you all be the judge. I think the Microlino has a lot of promises. But then also we have other car manufacturers which are quite interesting. They're going to be releasing some interesting things. Like I know just recently Hyundai released the Inster. I reviewed the Hyundai Inster and I have to say it's full of promises. Just if you can tolerate some things about the interior, because the interior has a bit of a deja vu. The interior of the Hyundai Inster, Jesus, it reminds me of the horrible Hyundai days when they had the plastic bumpers that looked like it came straight from a remote control. But I give it to them. It is stylish. The Hyundai Inster is stylish. But you know what? It's funny how we jumped from the Yellow Hanomag to this electric car topic. Now I'm jumping to a Hyundai. That's hilarious. The Hyundai brand is quite interesting, really, if you think about it, because the Hyundai brand is like, they were once a laughing stock manufacturer. This was like back in the 90s and then 2000s. And then if you look at them today, the table has just flipped upside down. Today, they're making one of the most desirable cars which you would actually dream of. Some of the cars you would actually dream of. Cars that are stylish. But I think it's become an opposite problem. For me, I think the biggest problem with Hyundai cars today is that some of them are a bit over the top. Some of them have visually got this look of, oh, I lost inspiration, or maybe I should just take some inspiration from what other people have done. Because when you look at the new Hyundai Santa Fe, everybody has been saying how it looks like the Land Rover Defender. And the rear looks like the Volkswagen T3, Transporter 3. It's hilarious what's going on over there. And then as for the Hyundai Ioniq 9, I saw the new Ioniq 9, by the way, guys. I haven't reviewed it yet, but I'm going to review it very soon, hopefully. I have to say that the rear looks like a Volvo for some reason. It reminds me of I think it was a 90s Volvo estate wagon, or I think it was the early 2000s, not sure. But it's a bit of a pity what's going on, because Hyundai actually nailed it in the 2010s. They did a great job. Great value for money, affordable crossover SUVs. They ticked almost every box. But ever since the electric car question became a very serious initiative, everybody stooped into problems. Everybody. All car manufacturers, all groups, the Volkswagen Group, Stellantis, BMW, Mercedes, Toyota, Nissan Renault Alliance, Ford, General Motors. Well, actually, General Motors, they kind of left Europe. They oh my gosh, the thing with General Motors in Europe, it's a very long story, but it's making me inclined to talk about Saab, but Saab will be for another time, maybe another podcast, guys. For those of you who want me to talk about Saab, please let me know in the comment section. All right, if you want me to cover some things about the Saab car brand and Saab cars. All right. So what I was saying is that all car manufacturers underwent problems trying to answer the electric car question. And this was a big culture shock, and this is why people absolutely hate electric cars sometimes. I speak with a lot of people, and they all are adamant when they say, I'll never buy an electric car. I'm like, I think you have no choice. At least here in Europe, you don't really have a choice. Because here in Europe, there are many capital cities that have taken initiatives towards being more... they've established zones where an old diesel engine or an old petrol engine can no longer enter. So here in Brussels, by 2030, a diesel engine, no diesel engine can enter the city basically, unless you have a pass or something. It's something, there's a lot of things you have to check out for, but this is the general thing. Diesel engines are banned by 2030 to enter in Brussels, whereas 2035, every single combustion engine, plug-in hybrid, petrols, or even petrols, or everything, diesels, everything gets banned from Brussels. Now you can only, now whether you can enter with a pass or not, that's something I'm not exactly sure, so do not take my words literally on this. But what I can definitely say is that this is a very strong initiative towards electric cars, and across the world, in the continent of Africa, in Asia, in Australasia, in South America, there are many rising economies that are taking some initiatives towards electric cars. Now, in certain parts of the world, the infrastructure of the infrastructure to support electric cars rather, doesn't exist yet, but they are developing it. And those are mainly in the major cities for now, but then across the country, the developing countries, it'll be available. Those infrastructures to support electric cars. And when I say infrastructure, first of all, we're talking about charging stations, and then also the mechanics who are certified or who have the knowledge and intelligence to handle electric cars, who can actually repair an electric car should something go wrong. Now, battery replacement can also be a lot of hassle. The battery is also usually one of the biggest things to look out for, the battery of an electric car. When I say batteries, I quite literally, you know, like for example, this is the electric car. The battery is usually this flat pad that's right underneath the electric car. So, you know, it's not like I use my hand and take it out and pull it back in. They literally need to, you know, it's a lot of work. So many car manufacturers are taking the initiatives to maximize their presence when it comes to electric vehicles. It's funny how far we've come with electric cars, guys, because before Tesla did something about electric cars, a long time ago, electric cars were just hated. I remember everybody was laughing at it. They were thinking electric cars will just be econo boxes, which are going to drive from A to B very slowly. And that was because of many things. There were many car journalists who mocked electric cars. They even tried some projects, and it was hilarious. But then at the same time, we all figured what the problem was with electric cars. Then I know there was a collaboration between Mitsubishi and the PSA Group. They released the Mitsubishi IMEV. IMEV. I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but whatever the car was, it was horrible to look at. It was embarrassing. It was just, for standards of what Mitsubishi was doing that time, it was, I think, one of the most embarrassing cars, in my opinion, because I know Mitsubishi had some awesome cars, okay? Like the Mitsubishi Pajero, which is also known as the Montero. This was like back in the early 2010s when they were still selling cars here in Belgium. They had the Mitsubishi L200, awesome pickup. And then they had the Mitsubishi Lancer as well. The Lancer is cool, but the biggest problem with Mitsubishi is that they never sold in big numbers. And that electric car, forget it. And the Citroën and the Peugeot rebadged versions didn't sell like hotcakes either, at least not here in Belgium. But for some reason, the Renault Zoe always saw success. Everybody liked the Renault Zoe. This was like, I think before Tesla even rolled out here in Europe. The Renault Zoe was around, but just not exactly the kind of car people would dream of driving, you know. Whereas Tesla released the first ever desirable electric car which people would actually dream of driving. Something that's appealing, not just to drive from A to B. It's not an econo box. It's something we can drive on the highways. And also another reason why people hate electric cars is because, speaking of highways, they think that when it comes to road trips, you can't go on road trips. You can't go on long journeys. You'll be surprised to know I met at least 20 people or more than 20 people who have gone on road trips with their electric vehicles. And I'm talking about various car manufacturers right here. So majority of them have done it with their Teslas. Then I know someone with a BMW, an electric BMW, who went on a road trip not too long ago. And then there was also somebody with a Mercedes. And I'm trying to think about this. Because I know many people who went with their EV vehicles on road trips and they were quite satisfied with the outcome. Just the only thing they complained about really with the fact that you have to wait for ages for the charging. It's crazy. This is why I miss the Hanomag, the Yellow Hanomag, guys. Because it used to bring some form of... There was music on the roof of the vehicle that would play music, and then you had flags. It was very colorful. I'm actually very curious what's become of it. I'm very curious. Well, where is this Hanomag? To me, that thing was like a rolling work of art, if you want me to be honest. I think these are like one of the most interesting vehicles out there. This is why, as you can see, so French magazines, they had this promotion gifts, and I made a collection of those. Collected some models of classic French trucks. So this over here is a Renault 7. This over here is the Citroen H van. Now I'm going to confess, I saw the Citroen H van as a child, because as a kid I used to live in the city. I used to live in Ixelles. But the Renault 7 was something I never saw. This is the curse about Renault vehicles, I think. They disappear very quickly. They can be popular in big numbers, but then after a couple of years, that model disappears. It's a bit of a curse Renault's had, because I noticed this with the Renault Espace. One moment, it was so popular, it dominated the roads. 10 years later, either in the junkyard or just nowhere to be seen. It's a very interesting thing what's going on over there. So there's just a lot of things about this Yellow Hanomag. It kind of brings me down to a very important topic about how we're all becoming too dependent on technology. We're all becoming too dependent on social media for publicity, for art, for inspiration. I think we need color on the road. I think we need art visually on the road, like this Yellow Hanomag. The animal statues, the energy it would bring, the happiness. I remember the joy everybody had when they would go to the Braderie of Ixelles. Not because of the Yellow Hanomag alone, although, if you want me to be honest, I enjoyed the Braderie until that Yellow Hanomag disappeared. That Yellow Hanomag disappeared, and that was the moment I started feeling odd. I just don't know why. And you want to know something funny? It's funny how I talk so much about it, and yet I never rode on it. I never sat on the back. Just give me one moment. I need to look for a photo. So here I have some photos of the Yellow Hanomag. So in this particular photo, you see the kids sitting on the animal statues. That's the seahorse. Yes. All right, so if you pay attention, the girl is sitting on the seahorse. That's the animal, that's the only animal I remember. And I think I remember the green elephant. I'm trying to remember actually. Oh my goodness. I remember after school, when there was the Braderie, I'd go in the Braderie with my bicycle or sometimes without my bicycle, and I would go get an ice cream, and I would just walk in the Braderie alone, exploring, watching that yellow petit train drive past. I used to like walking alone in the Braderie, even as a child. The Braderies were one of my happiest moments. I think it was because of the joy, and also because I would pay a lot of attention to the cars. I paid attention to the yellow petit train, but I never rode on it. That's the ironic part. But I always observed it. I always studied it. So we spoke about the current whereabouts of it. Nowhere to be seen. All I know is that it's a Hanomag. I know the sound of the engine by heart. I remember it very well. Every time it was idle, and then every time it would move from idle to like movement, like every time it would move, okay, there would always be this humming sound. That's what I remember of it. And there's a video on YouTube I saw the other day where somebody fires up a Hanomag camper and gets it moving. It sounded exactly like that. And now I took some photos of the documentations of this Yellow Hanomag, and there's some conflicting reports because some sources are saying that it was a petrol engine. So it's just very confusing what's really going on with this Hanomag, Yellow Hanomag. And by the way, the first owner of the Yellow Hanomag seemed to have shown so much love for it. It's a very interesting thing. So the Yellow Hanomag was a big inspiration for me, and I think we will see where things go from this point. Now, we discussed about why colors are important, why it's very important to have a revival of these kind of vehicles. And I don't know what time it is, but I think I'm not going to be surprised if we're already at 2 o'clock in the morning. This was a nice bedtime story, I hope. And if it wasn't, then stay tuned for more podcasts that are on the run, everyone, because there'll be more bedtime stories. There'll be more experiences for me to recite. More topics to cover. We covered topics about electric cars and why I think electric cars are one of the most hated. I personally don't hate electric cars. I personally like a lot of certain electric cars, but I do agree with the common thought that majority of the electric cars are quite expensive. That's the unfortunate truth. But hopefully we can change this in long terms. And hopefully in long terms we can find that Yellow Hanomag again. Now, if anybody knows something about it, let me know in the comment section. All right, I'll see you all next time. I wish you all a wonderful morning, okay? Good morning and good night for those of you who are also going to crash right now to bed. And I will see you all next time. Check the link in the description for my car reviews and my other podcasts. Stay tuned for more podcasts, guys. This is my first podcast, so I hope you like it. Let me know in the comment section what you all think. And right, I look forward to seeing you all soon.